Liz Truss didn't fail because her maths was wrong. She failed because every institution in the Western world organised a coordinated heist to steal her premiership. Well, that's the story she's currently hawking to anyone with a microphone and 40 minutes to kill. We're being told that the Treasury, the Bank of England, and apparently the Royal Navy are all sleeper agents for the shadowy blob dedicated to keeping Britain in a state of polite managed decay. It's a spectacular exercise in professional victimhood, and 4 years on, she's not even pretending to have learned anything. She's just shopping the story around again because the original ending was, well, historically brief. She resigned after 44 days and left office after 49, being the shortest serving Prime Minister in modern UK history. So, watch this. She's about to rewrite 2022 like it was a spy thriller where Andrew Bailey twirls his moustache and presses the Destroy Liz button.
So let's take the example of what actually happened, which is I put together a budget which I believed would reduce the deficit, increase the country's growth, put Britain on a better path. The counterfactual has been shown to have failed. The debt is worse, growth levels are worse, unemployment's higher, even indicators like gilts are worse than they were in 2022. But what happened is when I put that forward, the Bank of England, which are unelected, the night before the mini-budget, unbeknownst to me, announced the sale of £40 billion worth of government gilts. And then in the days afterwards, their failure to regulate the pensions industry led to a market crisis. They blamed me for it. And what I saw was the entire system backed them rather than me. And when I say system, I'm not just talking about the Treasury and the Office of Budget Responsibility, which is part of it. I'm talking about the senior voices in the media. I'm talking about the establishment overall. See, what I saw was so-called independent parts of government taking decisions that affect people's lives and being utterly unaccountable for them. And in 2024, the Bank of England released a report about 2022 saying that 2/3 of the changes in the market were down to the failure to regulate the pensions industry. And yet there's been very little coverage. Those people haven't been held to account for what they did.
Right. Here's the problem with Liz's version of events. Reality has paperwork. And her story, well, it's just bollocks really, isn't it? The bank's own market notice for Q4 2022 says gilt sale auctions were planned at 580 million per auction, 5 auctions in each of 3 sectors, with sales scheduled to start week of the 3rd of October 2022. That's not 4 billion dumped the night before. Bank of England worked paper later summed it up. The gilt turmoil is largely attributed to 2 factors. The 23rd of September explanatory fiscal announcement, or known as the mini-budget, and the forced selling of fire selling dynamics. Not the bank alone did it. When the spiral hit, the bank stepped in with temporary purchase to stabilise the long-dated gilt market. That intervention is a matter of public record. So no, Liz, you wasn't being booby-trapped. This was you launching a huge fiscal event into a market that didn't believe the numbers, then acting surprised when confidence fell through the floor. If you want to argue that the UK has an institutional problem, well, that's fine, but don't sell people a bedtime story where you're the hero and everybody else is a cartoon villain. Now, this one is where Liz Truss accidentally starts arguing with herself, because she's genuinely confused that the armed forces won't do something illegal because a politician told them to.
We need to turn around the boats in the channel, to stop illegal immigration. As a government minister, if you ordered, even as Prime Minister, if you ordered the Navy to do that, they would just say, we're not doing that because it's illegal.
Right.
So the civil service now decide what's legal and what's not legal, and can essentially refuse to do what government ministers say under the system that was set up by Tony Blair. So from everything from the Chagos Islands to migration to fiscal policy to monetary policy, you have a so-called independent arbiter deciding what's legal, what's true, what the forecasts are, you're completely boxed in.
The ministerial code spells out the overarching duty of ministers to comply with the law, including international law and treaty obligations. The Navy isn't moonlighting as a legal debating society. They are bound by international maritime law, specifically the UN Convention on Law of the Seas and the 1951 Refuge Convention. These laws prohibit pushbacks that put lives at risk in the open water. Ignoring these isn't standing up to the blob, it's asking the military to commit a crime on the high seas. You can't just wish away the Geneva Convention because you have a podcast to promote.
He's a new member, Rob Jenrick, who has said
he's also a member of the Rishi Sunak campaign team. So
right.
I don't think we can claim this man is an unbiased witness of history.
But he said after joining Reform that he would have, quote, chucked Liz Truss out of the party because your mini budget was careless and cack-handed and caused real harm to people. And he told Sky News that one reason why he left the Conservatives was because they hadn't kicked you out. He said the arsonists are still there.
I mean, that's just completely implausible. And Rob Jenrick is not a stupid person. And he knows perfectly well about what the Bank of England does. And he was part of the Rishi Sunak team that essentially wanted to oust me. I mean, ever since I became Prime Minister, which shocked them, because they deliberately connived to get rid of Boris. You know, it was an orchestrated campaign to get rid of Boris and install Sunak. And the minute I became Prime Minister, they were stirring the pot as much as they could. And of course, Jenrick was part of that team.
So even
but he knows,
the Reform's latest recruit is part of the blob.
I'm sure the blob is trying to infiltrate Reform.
Well,
I've got no
you've
doubt about
described
that.
him as a Trojan horse for defecting to Reform, and you've suggested that someone would be giving him orders. Who would be giving Rob Jenrick orders, and what would they be?
Well, what I'm suggesting is that Nigel Farage is now the bookies' favourite to be next Prime Minister. If you're a member of the British establishment, if you're somebody who has connived to keep Britain on this managed decline trajectory, what are you going to try and do? You're going to try and get into Reform. That seems the logical thing. So what I'm suggesting, given Robert is not stupid and is a perfectly intelligent person, he knows what happened in 2022. He knows that the Bank of England was responsible. I'm sure he's read the report that they put out in 2024. So all I can assume is he must have an ulterior motive.
Robert Jenrick is a politician. Politicians generally go where they think the voters, and in his case more his own careers, are headed. Labelling a defecting MP as a secret agent for the administrative state is a massive reach, even for Liz. There's zero evidence of a coordinated effort by the civil service to infiltrate a minority party. It's just simpler to believe in ghosts than it is to admit that the Tory party is leaking members like a sieve. It's a fascinating bit of theatre. Everyone is Keynesian, everyone is globalist, and everyone is, including the people she hired, out to get her. She's now spending her time playing golf, waiting for a Trumpian revolution to wash over the Atlantic. It's a comfortable life for someone who claims to be the victim of a national coup, and the administrative state might be slow, it might be bloated, but it didn't force her to hit the self-destruct button on the British economy in record time. She handled all that by herself.